Hello everyone, welcome to Pairfect, the ultimate lifestyle show where we highlight the innovators shaping our world. I'm Dinah Ventura. Today we're thrilled to bring you a conversation with two trailblazing entrepreneurs who have been at the forefront of sustainable lifestyle and community-driven initiatives. First up, we have Jeannie Javelosa, one of the visionary founders of Echostore, an eco-conscious brand that has redefined retail with its commitment to promoting sustainability, Filipino craftsmanship, and health-conscious living. Then, we'll also be joined by Chit Juan, another powerhouse co-owner of Echostore, who has made significant strides in the world of social entrepreneurship and wellness. Together, they've created a space where sustainability meets style, and they've been paving the way for a greener, more mindful future. So stay tuned as we dive into their inspiring journey and how they're shaping a sustainable future for everyone. Without further ado, let's welcome Jeannie Javelosa.
Hi, good afternoon, Dina.
Good
Thanks for
afternoon.
having us.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So, how has tell us first about the Great Women brand, because that is quite familiar now to us, but I understand that it started out in 2012. So, can you
Yeah.
share a little bit about how it evolved, how it was born, and how does it continue to champion women in business today?
Well, it started with Echo Store,
Mm-hmm.
and when we were called in by the Philippine Commission for Women, they were doing a project then that they were giving programs for the local government to be able to see work in the provinces with a gender lens, no? And they realized that everything that the women were asking for was for a retail space to sell their community-based products.
Mm-hmm.
So they came to us and we were helping them, and we realized we could not sell all the products because not everything was green. So we said, okay, why don't we create a new brand called Great Women, which was an acronym of the program then. And
Mm-hmm.
when the program ended, the brand was given to us by the Philippine Commission of Women in and the Canadian government that had been funding this program.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, we have been our initiatives have all been about being able to help bring women products to markets and create ecosystems that support this kind of initiatives of helping women either with financial access, market access.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while there, we really stayed with one vertical, no?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Mm-hmm.
was textiles.
Yeah.
One Eco Store focused on the coffee and products for community, and mostly were women.
Okay.
So this whole women speak was very supportive on the retail space for food and coffees under Eco Store because
Mm-hmm.
they were mostly green, but we also kept sustainability within the whole platform, or rather the ecosystem of
Mm-hmm.
Great Women, which was focused on textiles. So
Okay.
we had close to 40 weaving communities all around the country, and we were the ones that Christian Louboutin, the French designer, had even come into the Philippines
Mm-hmm.
to work with, just to show you the complete value system of the work that we were doing with the women
Mm-hmm.
from the ground all the way to an international market. However, Great Women was also really more than just the textiles. We were brought to the ASEAN by the USAID as a viable program for women in the region. And this was sometime in 2016, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. No?
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a lot of these development programs that support market networking as well as businesses between the ASEAN member countries.
Mm-hmm.
So had, for example, training for
Mm-hmm.
textiles and coffee with our sister partners from Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam. They all came here. So we did a whole training session under them. But there was always some kind of trade
Mm-hmm.
exchange. No?
Okay.
So it's this kind of an ecosystem that
Mm-hmm.
we build where
Mm-hmm.
we bring in supporting either donor grant money for development funds,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also about business networking.
Mm-hmm. And
So
so I suppose that's I mean, I read somewhere that it's the focus for this year, the networking, the ecosystem. Can you explain that?
Yes, well, during I have to go back to pandemic because
Mm-hmm.
from the textiles that we were helping all our
Mm-hmm.
weavers bring come to market with our indigenous textiles,
Mm-hmm.
which we've closed already because it was very hard because of pandemic. We moved online with a lot of partners training women to
Mm-hmm.
flip their biz or to change
Flip their
the
biz.
directions of their business because of pandemic. Now we were thinking of what's the differentiator now after pandemic. So
Mm-hmm.
we're coming out this weekend as part of Women's Month.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first Great Women Festival. So we're merging together now real solutions that we're looking at. What could be done to be able to
Mm-hmm.
support things like inclusive business,
Mm-hmm.
technology, and the issues of workforce development and employment. Then, of course, we have women's health, no?
Mm-hmm.
And financial access. So
Mm-hmm.
we are coming up with solutions. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
bringing together our textiles before our coffee also, no,
Mm.
women in coffee, which later Chit can talk about more.
Yeah.
We have the Great Women Kitchen and Loom tours, where
Mm.
during the festival we are going to be doing a business modeling with the
Mm-hmm.
different stakeholders from the tourism industry to be
Mm-hmm.
able to see how can we launch now all together specific tours that can support micro businesses of our farmers, of our women who have destination places, who have
Mm-hmm.
farms, who have coffee tours, wellness tours, different spaces around the country. And we're going to start to do first Luzon and NCR. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
business modeling. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
solution of
Mm-hmm.
how we can now come together to work under Great Women ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
the support for women in business in the tourism industry. So that's an example, no?
Yeah.
One of them. Because we have like three major solutions that we're going to be addressing. That
Mm-hmm.
after the festival, we actually move forward with
Mm.
many different partners.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around the thought of how you started out in 2012. It was something already at the time, and then
It,
it grew so much over the
yes,
last decade or so. So
yes.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes in the landscape of women in business over the years. So how have the needs of MSMEs, particularly women-led MSMEs, changed since 2012? And
Well,
y- yeah,
challenge is the real challenge
uh,
is it has not fully changed. I
oh,
mean, we've tried to be able to create this
mm-mm,
missing platform middle. That's Echostore
mm-mm,
as a retail store is a missing middle space in the retail space because it was being able to help the small micro products that
mm-mm,
were green to go to different markets. No, so now that's already opened up a lot more. So it's mainstream. We have a lot of other stores trying to do the same thing and other enterprises.
mm-hmm,
I believe that by just being able to speak about great women, we're
mm-hmm,
really focusing on the women micro
yeah,
entrepreneurs
mm-hmm,
and to be able to do it in inclusive businesses.
mm-hmm,
Like, for example, when we were doing the textiles,
mm-hmm,
everything was about developing them from the back end, their threads, preparing them for market, actually
mm-hmm,
selling their pieces all the way up to the designers and an
mm-hmm.
international market. So you
Okay.
have this gradated supply chain that was really moving them upward. It
Mm-mm,
was the same also for small entrepreneurs that were doing food that were not green. No? So we would have bazaars, we would
mm-hmm.
have small pop-ups, either focus on indigenous groups, again giving them market. So
Okay.
this ecosystem was
Mm-hmm.
being able to draw in support to be able to see their needs in
Okay.
each level. And
Yeah.
now, nice, it's good to know that there are many groups trying to do gender supportive programs and
Mm,
helping markets. I think because Great Women has its own space,
mm-hmm.
so it's a come to that is primarily focused on women
So,
and how do we bring that micro entrepreneurs up into a bigger chain. And
yeah.
that's the support that the whole ecosystem actually gives them.
So I guess that's one of the major changes that you can say happened over the years. That there's more support. Can you
I would Yes, more support has come
mm-hmm,
in.
mm-hmm,
And when you say multi-stakeholder groups that we really
mm-hmm,
draw in, you will have government, of course,
mm-hmm,
you will have the grant agencies, like a lot, and then your private sector that joins us. For
mm-hmm,
example, when we were doing a lot of our pandemic
mm-hmm,
programs, no, about Flip Your Biz. We had JP Morgan with us. We had the International Labor Organization. We were
Mm-hmm.
there facilitating the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
creating these programs. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where we are because I believe that when you look at it from a perspective of the
Mm-hmm.
country, no, the
Mm-hmm.
country,
Mm-hmm.
there will always be people working on women, on sustainability and all, but this it draws it together. So
Mm-hmm.
the festival is going to be the first one also in
Mm-hmm.
that we want to bring in other women expressions and also in a space where you actually can have music, um, photography exhibits, art exhibits,
Mm-hmm.
and other smaller bazaars, no, by the women. So it's a festival. But
Mm-hmm.
in the festival, we are working on real solutions, such
Yes.
as creating the Great Women Kitchen and Loom tours or
Mm-hmm.
the Great Women Wellness, Adventure, and Wholeness tours. We're working with different tourism stakeholders for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this one, and then there's another one we're working on, which is putting together the stay-at-home moms and
Mm-hmm.
how do we link them now to jobs after
Mm-hmm.
specific trainings. So partnership building, the
Nice.
collaboration, and
Mm-hmm.
really having a clearer outcome that
Mm-hmm.
is, it puts it all together in one space. That's what we will be doing. We will begin to be doing with this festival as that marker for Women's Month.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, over the years, there's been more clarity so that it's easier now to pinpoint what exactly needs some solutions, as you were talking
Yes,
about earlier.
yes,
And I'm sure you've also learned a lot from your travels to the ASEAN countries, your partner countries, particularly with the kind of industries that you're involved in. So, can you share some of the significant moments or stories or learnings from those travels that left a lasting impact on you?
Are you talking the ASEAN countries or you're
Yes,
talking?
the
Okay,
ASEAN, like that. I'm sure
okay.
that contributed something to where the great women is now.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Mm,
I think that the presence of the idea of great women, no, everybody felt that they wanted to be part of this whole direction setting.
mm,
But we're, for example, in Laos, if I'm not mistaken, or is it Vietnam, when we went there, the focus was specific on coffee. That they started,
mm,
the coffee shop was suddenly, brought a specific standard because Chit was actually there for the coffee. For the textile side, we brought together the discussions and there have been some trade
mm,
directions
mm,
specific to ICAT. For example, ICAT is all over the Southeast Asian region, and the
mm,
differentiation between these kinds of threads and textiles and the design motif has been a great discussion during in the textile angle on the international space. No,
mm,
so the angle, I believe, of tours, especially after COVID, no, and the
mm.
pandemic, is all about the service side, which is what we would like to try to do now in the local space.
Ah,
Because you see, after the pandemic, there's so many women that have really sprouted up with either coffee farms or destination spaces, or they have pasalubongs, and different areas of where people could go to, but they just don't have the market.
mm,
They
mm,
are just plugged into somewhere, but could be a speak specific for women, no?
mm,
And women traveling alone, for example, we also saw that in the ASEAN
yeah.
region, where when people travel together and mostly are women, there are safe spaces. So these are the ideas that we're now bringing into a tighter, I'd like to say an inclusive business platform
Mm,
specific to the industry of tours, which I believe, we travel so much around the region that
right.
the exchanges we have, we see how other countries, their culture is truly enhanced, their food, their beverages, and if we can link all this together, it does not stop the Great Women Tours to stay
Mm,
only in the Philippines,
mm,
but can now expand to ASEAN, where
mm,
we already have clear friendships, clear relationships with
mm.
women in the tourism industry also. So that's why this is exciting in that space now.
Yeah,
They are put together.
yeah, nga, it's nice that it's growing in so many different other
Oh, I just
tangents.
wanted to
Yeah.
add Dina, no? Like for
Mm,
example, our weavers,
yeah.
right? So we
Mm,
were working with 40 weaving communities and they were just weaving. Okay, the focus was the industry of textile.
mm,
But on the side, the weavers were actually planting coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And they would open a little coffee shop and then they would have some food. And their whole culture is around together. Now,
Mm-hmm.
by putting together a kitchen and loom tours, you
Mm-hmm.
have a whole new space where these weavers can now make more money, right? Because
Yeah.
now you're linking them to standards, and there are a lot around the country. But people
Mm-hmm.
don't know this and they're afraid to get there, and they think, oh, they're just weaving. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, no. They actually have a beautiful waterfall next to their weaving space. You can teach them how to tour that space. You can teach them how to serve the correct local cuisine,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you
Mm-hmm.
tighten. We
Mm-hmm.
will be looking at that. So actually, the Philippine Tours PhilToa, Philippine Tour Operators Association, is also part of this.
Yeah, I'm sure they're
Uh,
very happy with that idea.
Actually, very excited.
Uh,
Actually, very excited
yeah.
because uh, I think it hasn't really come to a gender directed tour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a single mom or you're alone and you want to travel,
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll feel very safe with the Great Women Tours,
Yeah.
right?
Galing. Oo.
So,
Let's
yeah.
talk more about that, Jeannie, when we return after a short break.
This break is brought to you by Meralco, ang liwanag ng bukas. SM, we've got it all for you. Smart. Live more today. Union Bank. It starts with you.
Tune in to Daily Tribune's show aimed at addressing the needs and problems of our OFWs from different corners of the globe. Hear about their plights and success stories every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. only on Daily Tribune's Facebook page and Tribune Now on YouTube.
Straight Talk dives deep into pressing issues of leadership, politics, business, and more. Engage in insightful conversations with industry shakers, government leaders, and trailblazers every Wednesday at 10 a.m. only here on Daily Tribune's Facebook page and Tribune Now in YouTube.
Utol, once just a colloquial term for a brother or sister. Today, the same term stands for a better option to your transportation needs. Unified Transport Operations League, or better known as Utol, was established to give you an alternative to ride-hailing with the concept of availing the service with care and compassion as if it was rendered by your own sibling. Now, who would you prefer to drive you home? Uto, the ride-hailing app to consider.
We're back on Pairfect, still with Jeannie Javelosa of Echostore and the Great Women Festival. Right. So I really like the fact that Great Women provides women with so many opportunities. Like even during pandemic, you gave the women online spaces, and I'm sure some of them have continued in this platform. Is that can I say that?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole group of them that, when you send out information, they're all kind of there waiting.
Yeah.
I think the challenge has been through the years, no?
Mm-hmm.
When everybody calls and says, we want to be part of Great Women, it was
Mm-hmm.
difficult because it's not like we have a membership card, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we could actually have a membership card. But no, there was always had to be a place where they can kind of go to and try to plug
Yeah.
in to see what's happening. Well, I believe the festival is one space where they can all come to network. And
Yeah.
it's just an entrance fee of 200 pesos and you can attend all the talks. I
Galing.
mean, Friday,
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, and Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
including we have women wellness activities.
Mm-hmm.
We have doctors who talk about women's intimate health, for example. We have wellness specialists talking about more hormonal issues. We have
Mm-hmm.
yoga teachers coming in for actual practices. We have a photographer giving a walk around her collection and giving a meditation session. So there are other things,
Yeah,
not just
so
apart
many.
from, yeah, it is supposed to be fun. That's why it's a festival, right?
Oo, ang galing.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea how big Great Women is now compared to when you first started? Like in
Well,
terms of number of people, maybe, or participants, or I don't know your
yeah.
gauge.
Yes, well, that's in the development side alone, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I you have to incorporate all the work that we've done with Echostore's foundation called Ecosi, because that was all under Great Women program. I pick out the data is going to be a little difficult today because we also had a full-on data with everything with all the weavers that we've touched, with 40
Wow.
weaving communities around the country. I mean, literally, I believe Great Women can be the only one to say that. We've actually worked with 40 weaving communities all over the country from north to south. And if you look at the weaving community, you have anywhere from maybe the smallest could be like 10
Mm-hmm.
to a bigger group of like 25, right? But when you say you're helping them, there's actually a training from the technical side, the market understanding, the financial angle that supports the business towards market, and then there is the sale, the retail part or the B2B, angle of the business. So if you just say, example, you have 10 or let's just say 20 times 40, you're touching at least 800, let's say 800 weavers, you have to times that to around 5 per
Wow.
family. Because the families, when you look at helping the MSME, right, a group, you will have to expand it to the family that it actually supports.
Yeah.
So now, if you look at tours, we want to enter the tour angle and look at it from how do we bring and plug in, for example, in the area of, Batangas, if we were to do a kitchen and loom tours, then we know there's a weaving community here that can be part of that visit. There's a food that is um, maybe a restaurant, a small cafe owned by a woman nearby. There could be a woman tour led tourist. What is this? A tour guide talking about the culture. So we're tightening it. There's logistics and there's transport. So the whole angle now expands,
It's
right?
so wide and diverse, and it's
Yeah.
growing even more. And I'm wondering how the two of you, you and Miss Chit, are managing to hold this all together.
Well, I think it's because it's about partnerships and collaboration towards a shared direction that we're all doing business together. But in doing business together, you have to understand that there are levels, right? Because we can't just sell the textile if it's not properly presented, properly done. And
Yeah.
they really saw this during when we were doing it with Christian Louboutin because they were getting rejects and then to do it over again. And it's the
Wow.
same with coffee. Buyers will not buy it if the coffee is not good. The beans.
Right. Yes, and I find this the opportunity now to introduce Chit Juan to join us in our conversation. So let's hear it from Miss Chit. Okay, so right now
Correct?
while we
Yes.
are waiting, maybe Jeannie, you can
I'm here.
give us a
Yes,
rundown of what to expect this weekend from the Great Women Festival.
Okay, so we're going to start with a network group coming together to just tell everybody what's going to happen on Friday after lunch. Then we get into a discussion of finances, and there's a talk by the child of the owner who owns a company, and she's going to be sharing what she's done for the company and how women can actually lead. Then we have the master class for coffee for Chit at 5:30. So that's Friday.
Yes.
On Saturday morning, we have the business modeling of the Great Women tours in the morning. So it's really a working group.
Okay.
And then after lunch, we have technology and workforce development. And we're partnered here with the Philippine Jobs and Skills Corporation because we're looking at being able to help support the teacher training angle of the high school student employment, or rather their OJTs in companies, because the teachers themselves have a hard time, no? So we're developing something around this track. Then after that, we have the women who work from home, moms who stay from home, and see how we can tighten now, looking at places for them to work. That's our role, no? There is a yoga session in the evening after. And then the next day, we have health talks. In the afternoon we have health talks,
Mm-hmm.
a doctor talking about intimate wellness,
Mm-hmm.
issues of sexuality, for example. And then we have a wellness talk on hormones,
Mm-hmm.
then another yoga session and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, we have a photographer's guide around the exhibition and a meditation session, followed by a gong frequency meditation
Nice.
evening. Plus,
Okay.
we have photography exhibits, we have booths, we
Mm-hmm.
have the International Women in Coffee Alliance coffees, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a women directed thing. We have our sponsors coming in fully directed towards just making the festival something that all women and the men who help the women can come
Mm-hmm.
enjoy.
Nice. Something to look forward to talaga. I hope that a lot of people will attend this year. So maybe we can have Miss Chit Juan talk about the master class that she's going to give Friday.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome
Hi.
back to Pairfect.
Yes, thank you for having us again this time. And
Yes.
so,
Mm-hmm.
Gina and I are working on this Great Women Festival. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, she said you have to do coffee because we have done a lot for coffee in the sense that I think Echostore was the one that pioneered labeling it as women in coffee. Not very many people know that women have a big part in the coffee value chain. When I say value chain, no, let's not be too technical.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is every cup of coffee that you drink, there is a woman's, hand in that, from the harvest
Mm-hmm.
to processing the coffee to
Mm-hmm.
sorting. Like if you come to our farm tours, we'll show you how women are meticulously picking every bean so that
Nice.
there are no defects. That will go to the roasting, also roasted by a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and then to be sold, let's say at Echo Store.
Mm-hmm.
And when you drink that coffee, we can tell you a story of how many women's hands
Mm-hmm.
actually play the part in giving you the best coffee possible. So in the
Yes.
master class, I will
Mm-hmm.
talk about the women's role from harvest all the way to bringing you your cup of coffee.
Nice. So there's so many steps from farm to cup, and
Correct,
that
correct.
will be tackled and appreciated during the master class, I suppose.
Yes. Because
Okay.
when they say master class, it's like you have to be a perfect barista or a perfect roaster. But in this
Mm-hmm.
master class that Jeannie wanted me to do,
Mm-hmm.
it's really asking women, do you want to be in the coffee industry? And if you want to be in the coffee industry, which part of the
Mm-hmm.
industry do you want to be part of? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're planting coffee, like Gina and I are planting coffee.
Yeah.
I sowed the seeds,
Mm-hmm.
and she's planting in Quezon, I'm planting in Cavite,
Mm-hmm.
and with other partners, we're planting in Benguet, Nueva Vizcaya, all the way down to Sulu.
Yeah.
And most of the farmers are women.
Nice. And so, jumping off from that, the idea of all these women working in the coffee industry, how important is networking and community support in the success of women and entrepreneurs, and especially since this is perceived to be a male-dominated industry? Is this true?
20 years ago, ganun na ako katagal. 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
it was really male dominated. But now, if you ask me and you ask me, can you give me coffee from, let's say, Davao?
Mm-hmm.
The person I will call on my cell phone is a woman. If you
Mm-hmm.
tell me, I want some coffee from Sulu, again, the person I will talk to is a woman from Sulu.
Okay.
So, if you say, do you know anybody in Zamboanga? And I get all these inquiries for
Mm-hmm.
coffee-related resource persons, coffee-related products.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, when I pick up my phone, there is a woman at the end of the line, because women like the details of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to have a good cup of coffee, you need to mabusisi eh. I can't find a better word for it than busisi. And women always like those details.
Yeah.
It's women who will have the patience. Sorry, the men naman have the role. The men are usually helping us in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when we plant coffee, the men are very handy to have around.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want to pick the ripest fruits,
Mm-hmm.
sino yung matyaga? It's
Mm,
the woman.
that's true.
Other, because coffee is such a natural product,
Mm.
you have to watch the fruits as they become red, and they don't become red all at one time. So
Wow.
babalik-balikan mo siya until may red, may green. So you're just picking the red. And then you come back the next week, may red na naman. So you'll probably go back like 5 times
Mm-hmm.
to a coffee tree to be
Mm-hmm.
able to harvest all.
Wow.
Okay? Now, what used to happen nung hindi pa masyadong involved ang mga kababaihan,
Mm-hmm.
they just strip pick it. They call it haros. You just get everything in one blow,
Uh-huh.
and then somebody will buy it anyway.
Okay.
But not anymore. These days,
Mm.
the drinkers are discerning, the roasters are very picky, the
Mm.
processors are mabusisi.
Mm.
So, from the get-go, if you do a haros or
Mm.
strip picking, your coffee will not be sold at a good price.
I see. So that really leveled up the quality control, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. So that's one role of women in the
Mm-hmm.
picking. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the sorting, I can show you women who've been doing it for 20 years, and you're like, di ba sila nabobore? No, they're listening to the news, the radio drama, and all that. And they say it's good therapy,
Mm-hmm.
to sort. Ang coffee kasi very natural eh. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
merong magka-crack in the process of, yung iba kasi binabayo, they pound the coffee to
Mm-hmm.
expose the bean because they don't have equipment.
So
So they,
masisira.
so
Nasisira.
nasisira,
Yeah.
nababasag.
Mm-mm.
When coffee is basag,
Mm-hmm.
that is already considered a defect because when you roast coffee, syempre, as taught to us in physics ba yan? Yung maliliit, it will burn right away.
Mm-hmm. Tama.
Sooner than the malalaki. Di
Mm-mm.
ba? O
Mm-mm.
yan. Natural science one. Di ba? So, not sci one. So, uh, dapat, pare-pareho yung size nung
Mm. Ng
niro-roast.
bean.
Nung bean. But who will bother to do that? Di ba?
Mm-mm.
It's the
Mm-mm.
women who will bother because the men get bored.
Again,
You know,
tiyaga.
again, tiyaga.
Uh-uh.
Women and men are wired differently sa brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like men like all the linear stuff, the macro stuff. Women like the details eh.
Mm-hmm.
So, hindi naman natin inaangkin na women lang ang magaling dyan. But it's the women who have the patience, perseverance,
Mm.
the patience to do it. And guess what? It's global. It's a global phenomenon. It's not reserved just
Not
for
just the
Philippines.
Philippines.
No. And that's why
Okay.
we have the International Women Coffee Alliance. So I
Nice.
just came from India, and
Uh-huh.
who did I meet there? The IWCA of India. Diba?
Okay.
Ganon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
IWCA is in 35 countries,
Mm-hmm.
consuming and producing countries of coffee. But I'll get into that in the master class, no?
Yeah.
One is, what role do you want to play?
Yeah.
Mahilig ka bang uminom? O so you want to be, ang kape, so you want to be a barista?
Uh,
Or mahilig ka ba sa nature? Gusto mo magtanim?
so
In
farming.
every farming,
Mm-mm.
or gusto mo ba yung learning a skill that not very many women have
Mm.
adopted, no, like
Mm.
roasting.
Mm.
Roasting is like chefing, it's
Yeah.
it's but roasting is the more, I would say, exact science, like
Mm.
baking, kasi there's a temperature,
Measurements. Mm-mm.
measurements,
Mm.
moisture, etc. Hindi yung, oh, let's do it this way, ganyan.
Yeah.
There are degrees of roasting. So it's an art and a science.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of women scientists naman. So I would think,
They
a
would
lot of
they would
women
excel.
like would excel in this, because really I believe that women excel in areas where a lot of detail
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of science. is involved.
Yeah. So therefore, the coffee industry is really perfect for women to get into.
Yes, and
Yes.
of late, a
Mm-hmm.
lot more women are getting into coffee. Like we're
Yeah.
sending two barista teams to
Mm-hmm.
Bangkok next
Mm-hmm.
week,
Mm-hmm.
and each team is composed of four, no?
Mm-hmm.
Pareho silang may babae. Because it's that diversity also, siguro yung babae yung
Mm-hmm.
tiga-organize
Mm-hmm.
nung ano nila, nung mga drinks or something.
Yeah.
But, and then we go to not just women empowerment, which is such a, di ba, overused
Yeah,
buzzword.
nobody
But
actually knows what it means nowadays. Kasi parang nabingi ka na.
yeah, so parang naano na tayo, ano ba
Oh,
yan?
an-
Women
na
empowerment na naman.
naman, gano'n.
Di ba, when you hear na naman, it's like artisan eh. Ay, pag narinig yung artisan ulit, gano'n, di ba?
Oo,
Or
yeah.
farm to table, ganyan.
Yeah.
So medyo gas-gas na siya.
Mm-mm.
In this case, what we do talaga is promote diversity,
Okay.
di ba? So in diversity, you have diversity of gender, you have diversity of age,
Mm-hmm.
diversity of skill.
Mm-hmm.
So doon, you're not just saying women empowerment. In our case, in coffee, the diversity and inclusion comes in, like, in the whole aspect of the coffee value chain. Kasi nga, sabi ko sa'yo, at the farm, the man has a role, the woman has a role.
Mm. Right.
At the coffee shop, the woman has a role, the man has a role. And that's why even our barista teams
Mm-hmm.
who are going to Bangkok to represent us
Mm-hmm.
have a woman in them. Yan. Yung isa nga
Yes.
hindi nanalo sa alam mo bakit?
Wow.
Wala kayong babae. I
Tama
mean, it
yun.
may be, it may be ano, no, by chance lang,
Oo.
pero sorry, parang, yun talaga eh. The two teams that made it
Mhm.
had a woman in them.
Okay, so there goes your point. Anyway, so it's really inspiring to see how great women has evolved and expanded over the years.
Mhm.
But right now, at this point, like looking ahead, how can businesses and organizations create lasting, transformative change for women entrepreneurs? And what are the
Y-
next steps for great women?
You know, to create that sustainable, ito na naman, another word, sustainable.
Oo nga,
To
gas-gas.
create a sustainable plan, if you
Mhm.
will,
Mhm.
women must get out of their comfort zone and network.
Right.
And kami nila Jeannie, we started networking in ASEAN
Mm.
many years ago. So, you name the ASEAN country, we can call a friend.
Nice.
It's that type of networking.
Mm.
And, naman women we can talk about anything in the ladies' room. You can talk to a complete stranger in the
True.
ladies' room. Pero sa women lang. I mean, I don't think the men compare notes in the men's room, no? But, uh, so women, di ba, a complete stranger, oh, ano yung lipstick mo? Oh,
Uh,
what makeup are you using? And for us, it's okay. It's a
yeah.
safe space, no?
Right.
For us, traveling around ASEAN, and now we've expanded to India.
Mm.
So in India, we're also networking with a lot of women who
Mhm.
are, by the way, also in coffee, in textile,
Mm-mm.
because these are the crafts and products where women play a big role,
Yes.
not just in our country, but in the rest of the world. So
Mm.
you will find a network
Mhm.
anywhere you go, but the key is to open and broaden your horizons.
Yes. On that note, we will end our show tonight and today, this afternoon. And please, Miss Chit, if you could invite our viewers to join the weekend.
Yes, this is probably, akala ko nga free entrance na pero may 200 pa lang museum fee. I thought I was going to do a free show. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, I'd like to invite you all February 28th, that's tomorrow, and mine is at 5:30,
No,
but
that's
from
today.
after
That's today.
lunch.
That's today.
That's today pala, sorry. You see, wala naman akong jet lag from India, pero that's today,
Uh-huh.
February 28th.
Mm-hmm.
We can see each other all the way till Sunday, March 1 and March 2.
Mm-hmm.
For the Great Women Festival at Y Space. Why is called Y Space is the Yuchenko Museum,
Mm-hmm.
right at the corner of Hilpuyat and Ayala. or Ayala and Buendia for the older ones. And the RCBC Tower, that's where the Yuchenko Museum is, and that's where you'll find Wisebase. Oy, thank you, Dina. Thank you for this opportunity.
No,
And
thank
thank
you.
you for your support.
Yes. Always, always supporting women, 'di ba? Perfect. So, thank you very much. Thank you to Jeannie and Chit Juan for joining us today and sharing their inspiring journey with great women. It's amazing to hear how they've transformed the landscape for women entrepreneurs, from cross-border collaborations to building strong communities of support. To our viewers, remember, by working together and championing each other, we can break barriers and create lasting change. Keep supporting, keep empowering, and keep pursuing your passions with purpose. This is Dinah Ventura, encouraging you to live authentically and stay curious. Until next time, take care and keep inspiring.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Meralco.
Alam nyo ba kung saan napupunta ang binabayad nyo sa Meralco? Dito sa series na ito, isa-isahin natin yan para maipaliwanag ko po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Josel Dariaga ng Meralco Corporate Communication Office. Alam nyo ba na pag nagbabayad kayo ng bill sa kuryente, nasa mga 20% lang on the average ang napupunta sa Meralco? Sa katotohanan, nahahati sa iba't ibang components ang inyong electricity bill. Kumbaga parang pizza lang yan. Kasama sa binabayaran natin ay ang generation charge na napupunta sa generation companies o mga nag-ooperate ng power plants, transmission charge na napupunta sa System Grid Operator ng Pilipinas, na National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, at iba-ibang charges na napupunta sa gobyerno. Tulad po ito ng mga subsidies, taxes, universal charges at fit-all. Kung tutuusin, tulad nga nabanggit ko, nasa around 20% on the average ang kabuang bill ang binabayad sa Meralco sa pamamagitan ng distribution charge. Ito na ang pinaka-epektibong sistema para sa electricity consumers. Iwas abala ito para hindi na isa-isahin pang bayaran ng iba't ibang kumpanya na dinadaanan ng kuryente. Naway, nabigyan linaw ko po kayo kahit papano sa inyong mga katanungan ukol sa inyong electricity bill. Hanggang sa muli, ako po si Manong Joe, ang inyong lingkod.